Today we're going to talk about Bitcoin and what's going on with the price action, as well as what I think about altcoins in this current market moving into the SegWit 2x hard fork, because it's been a while since I've done an update on the markets, and I just wanted to provide my thoughts on where I think the best place is to park your money, as well as what I think might be the best place to invest your money following the Bitcoin 2x hard fork. So right now, Bitcoin's trading at roughly $7,300, although it wasn't that long ago. I believe maybe just a little over, maybe like 16 hours ago, that it was trading at roughly $7,600. If we go back a little bit further than this, there we go. So Bitcoin has been doing fairly well. This is not even, I wouldn't even consider this a dip. I would honestly say, with Bitcoin in particular, there's a phrase in the stock market that 5% is a dip, 10% is a correction, and then 20% is a bear market. Well, when it comes to Bitcoin, I think you should triple those numbers. So 15% is a dip, 30% is a correction, and then 60% is a bear market. That's how much it would have to decline in order for me to characterize any of these as dips, corrections, or a bear market. And at this point, Bitcoin it kind of came close here. It almost did a 10% dip, closer to like 8 to 9%, but it has not done anything significant in terms of going to 15+% in terms of dips. So to me, this is just a minor blip in an otherwise very strong uptrend. Anyway, so Bitcoin continues to do well. It probably will continue to do well going into the Bitcoin 2x hard fork, unless everybody's sentiment changes on that. People are still viewing it as free money, and as long as people view it as free money, it's going to continue to behave that way, and Bitcoin will continue to go up. In terms of places that I'm actually looking at to invest instead of Bitcoin, because you guys know, well, in case those of you who haven't seen my previous videos, I'm cautious about investing in Bitcoin at this current level, because to me, there's not enough risk factored into Bitcoin, and I don't think we're adequately pricing in the fact that maybe adoption hasn't increased all that much when you look at transaction volume. We're going to do an update on that particular topic soon on this channel. A lot of you were mentioning the fact that obviously the network, the whole reason we were talking about scaling in the first place is because the blocks were actually getting filled to their 1 megabyte capacity. Therefore, the transaction volume could not increase from where it is. However, of course, now we have SegWit activated, and if you look at the mempool, I would say it's pretty obvious that that isn't true. It's not like there was a ton of stored up demand that all of a sudden SegWit solved. I tend to think that the network just isn't seeing an increase in adoption. But anyway, we'll talk about that in a separate video. But in terms of Bitcoin, I think about where we lost 15% of the volume from China. And I just, this is such a strong uptrend that we've had since roughly in the middle of September, where we saw Bitcoin go down to that $3,000 level. And since then, this was obviously post the China ban, but ever since then, Bitcoin has done just fine. And there really hasn't been a single dip even. If we define a dip by 15%, I believe there was a, so to speak, technical dip right here on the Bitcoin Gold hard fork, but that lasted literally no time at all. Actually, no, this is not the Bitcoin Gold hard fork. This is the Bitcoin Gold hard fork right here. So we had a small dip here, but you can see that it didn't even close under 15%. It actually came back up. So if you combine this with this, it was roughly a 15% drop, but then it just came right back. And so, for me, it's interesting that when we look at Bitcoin in particular here, we're not seeing any corrections, we're not seeing any dips, we're certainly not seeing any signs of bear activity. So the reason I'm cautious about investing in Bitcoin is because I don't think there has been enough good news. I don't think that there's been enough changes or enough catalysts to drive the price this high. I think it's a bunch of FOMO investing related to the Bitcoin 2x hard fork. I would be surprised, maybe not that surprised, but I would be a little surprised if Bitcoin did not see a correction by the time we hit the Bitcoin 2x hard fork, or a little bit after the Bitcoin 2x hard fork. I really would be surprised, because this has been parabolic growth. I mean, I don't think that Bitcoin can continue to grow at this rate, for another month or 2 months. So in terms of what I'm looking at, you guys know I'm looking at Ethereum. The reason why I've liked Ethereum so much is because relative to Bitcoin, it has had a very, very poor performance over the long term here. And I like Ethereum because it really, in my opinion, is a project with a ton of support. There is actual adoption on the network. It may not be as strong as Bitcoin's, but it is fairly strong adoption. People are working on Ethereum. There's a good team behind Ethereum. And in general, this is, in my opinion, the biggest blue chip, or obviously technically it is the biggest cryptocurrency aside from Bitcoin. But to me, it's the second best blue chip after Bitcoin. And that's not just because of size, but also because of the amount of support that Ethereum has, and because it's a completely different use case than Bitcoin is. So I think because of those reasons, Ethereum should be relatively protected, at least in the short term here. I don't know what's going to happen with Ethereum over the next 5 years. But when I talk about trading over the next 3 months or so, I think Ethereum is going to do fairly well against Bitcoin, at least for sure, I would say, over the next month. And so I continue to hold in Ethereum. I'm actually still happy about that investment. I know a lot of people have been asking about it. Have you sold out? Do you feel any regret because you would have made a lot more with Bitcoin? And the answer to that question is no. You gain a lot of experience with dealing with unfavored assets when you invest in value stocks. And I'm kind of drawing that experience here because for me, it doesn't pain me to see Ethereum not doing as well as Bitcoin, just as much as it doesn't pain me when I see my stocks not doing as well as the S&P 500. And the reason I'm okay with it is because I think my risk-adjusted returns in the event of multiple different market scenarios is favorable against the alternative, which in this case is Bitcoin. In other words, let's say we have a huge crash following the Bitcoin 2x hard fork. I think Bitcoin is going to go down by more than Ethereum would. So I think in that factor, or in that sense, I have a less risky portfolio because I'm investing in cryptocurrencies that are a little bit more depressed. Again, I'm not going with the momentum-based strategy. For those of you that just you obviously understand Bitcoin the best, you like Bitcoin the best, maybe you're a Bitcoin maximalist, then obviously, yes, invest in Bitcoin no matter what the price is. But for me, at this level, given the catalysts that have actually made Bitcoin go up to this price, I find it better to invest in other cryptocurrencies. So I'm still invested in Ethereum. You guys know about that from my previous video. I'm also considering investing in Litecoin if it goes down from where it currently is. And obviously, when it comes to other cryptocurrencies, you want to pick the ones that you like. You want to pick the projects that have some amount of support. I can't emphasize this enough. It doesn't matter how good the project is. If there's no community support behind it, it simply does not matter. So I would stick to the top portion of this list. Anything that's above, say, 50th or so is going to have some amount of community support. And you should be able to, I shouldn't say safely invest in them, but it will be safer than investing in most other cryptocurrencies below the 50th rank on this particular list. Obviously, there's exceptions down here that have plenty of support from the community. Just gauge it and have an idea of what it is you're getting into before you invest. But, for me, I'm still looking at Monero. Actually, Monero is doing fairly well today. And it's not really back to where it was when it was up at $140, but it's doing fairly well today. It's sort of recovering some of the losses that it had over the past month or so. In dollar terms, of course. It's still nowhere near close to where it was in Bitcoin terms, say, a month and a half to 2 months ago, if I recall correctly. If we look at other cryptocurrencies here, I would just encourage you to stick with ones that you like a lot. If you like the project and you feel that there's a large amount of community support, then I would stick with those. Zcash, OMG. If you look at not Tether, okay, please, not Tether, Lisk, Waves, Arc, any of these cryptocurrencies that you believe in. I don't want to point out specific ones. There are specific ones that I like more that I have invested in, but there's plenty of projects out there that you can invest in. Just pick the ones that you like, and I personally feel that they will do well. For example, you want to kind of pick and find your spots and invest in places where the particular cryptocurrency is really depressed relative to history. So, for example, with Waves, it went under $3, so I actually picked up some Waves at roughly like $2 and I think like 90 cents or so. So that's doing fairly well. ARK went down to $2. I picked it up at that level as well, a little bit more than I already had. But the idea here is that you pick the projects that you like on this list and invest in them when they get below a certain level. And because Bitcoin continues to do well and probably has a good chance of continuing to go up, altcoins might continue to get hit hard. And if they keep getting hit hard, there's going to be a better opportunity for you to invest in them cheaply. I don't think we're going to see a significant change in the cryptocurrency market where we all of a sudden see a huge crash. I don't see that as particularly likely. In the event that we did have a huge crash, I tend to think that Bitcoin would be better than these other cryptocurrencies. If we entered an actual bear market, Bitcoin is obviously likely going to be better than most of these other cryptocurrencies. But I don't think we're going to hit a bear market anytime soon. And because I don't believe that that's true, I still think that altcoins will continue to do well. I have a feeling that this Bitcoin dominance number is going to decline in the short term here. And as a result of that, I prefer investing in altcoins still at this point. Now, it's not going to be an easy trade for a lot of you, especially because a lot of you don't have experience with investing in deep value stocks where you sort of get exposure to investing in assets that are out of favor. But I would really encourage you to consider it because your downside risk is a little bit lower and there's going to be less volatility. Yes, there's also potentially going to be less upside, although I think that that isn't going to be the case in the long term here. I think altcoins are going to do just fine, but in the short term here, there is less possibility of gains in altcoins, but I tend to think it's less risky. As a result of that, it's a better fit for me personally, and that's how I'm going to be investing going into the Bitcoin 2x hard fork. Again, that might not be the right choice. It wasn't the right choice with the Bitcoin Gold hard fork, so we'll see moving forward. As usual, I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Leave a like, comment, and subscription, and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Thank you for watching.